Hi, I'm Susan Matthews. Welcome to the Subverse, where we uncover stories that lie in the margin and journey from the cosmic to the quantum, from cells to cities, from the stillness of extinction to the flow of music and movement. In this episode, I speak to Ryan Christie, originally from Colorado in the United States of America, who has been a holistic movement coach in Switzerland for the past 15 years. Ryan loves helping people achieve goals that at one time seem unattainable, making the impossible possible. I met Ryan during a period of immense grief, and doing a mix of boxing, tai chi, slacklining, and other moving and grooving with him really did help me so much. Ryan and I have peppered our conversation with some exercises he guides me through. We will share links in our episode notes to some videos of Ryan at play. One thing you could do with me now is some box breathing. It's simple. Breathe in for a set number of seconds, hold for a set number, and breathe out. So it's a square. So breathe in, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Breathe out, 2, 3, 4. 2 more times. In, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Out, 2, 3, 4. In, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Out, 2, 3, 4. This works every time to help me settle in. Please check out Ryan's video on our website for how he does it. In our conversation, in which I had so much fun, Ryan and I speak about flow and play and improving our vestibular intelligence. That's our ears and eyes and everything in between, and how we relate to our environment. We explore why children seem to have so much more fun, are so curious and adventurous, and experience time more slowly. While as we age, we become more rigid, set in our ways, watching life just pass by so fast. Flow is both go and slow. Time can be pliable and elastic, and so is our brain. So do try out new things. Learn new languages, make origami shapes, cook up a storm, play a musical instrument. Find your playground, embrace your inner child, go exploring, and invite novelty and creativity into your life. Go inside. Go outside. Go upside down. Have some fun. Welcome, Ryan, to the Subverse. So I wanted to start this conversation by quoting a song that I absolutely love, Mad World, made famous in the film Donnie Darko. I'm actually going to try and sing the first 4 lines. So, all around me are familiar faces, worn out places, worn out faces, bright and early for the daily races, going nowhere, going nowhere. And of course, later in the song, when people run in circles, it's a very, very mad world. So
Wow, first off, well done for saying that.
Thank you.
Awesome.
I mean, we talked about this earlier, and it just made more sense to sing the words rather than say it. The song also reminds me of Alice in Wonderland, especially in Through the Looking Glass, where she's running this race with the Red Queen. And she runs faster and faster and faster, and then finally looks around, and she's been standing exactly in the same place. I find that connects with what is also in the song. And I wondered how you sort of see these images and visuals.
We can get so caught up in maybe the hopes and dreams of someone other than us. Like we take a back seat to that, and we're running this race that's not even our own. We don't have this focus or this awareness that we're really not going anywhere. Like we're in the same place. And so I think really having the awareness is a great place to start. And sometimes it takes just, reminders. Like the song itself actually cues us, who we're not perfect. We're all running races in different ways. And, like we lose track of what's really important to us and this forward progress or this movement that we want to have in our life. And then it's like, okay, well, I'm busy, but I didn't go anywhere. Like I feel like I'm doing a lot, but I'm not, I don't feel that I'm progressing or growing in whatever way. And I think awareness is key to that. And we find it in so many places like music or the people we connect with or other things like that as well. Like when it becomes almost too unbearable or like the emotion really comes forth, and that's when we can have this great perspective of like, oh my gosh, I'm running someone else's race, or I'm running the race, or I'm not progressing myself. Like, what am I doing?
Thank you. When I listen to these words, I really think about adaptation and change, because in a way that's really what the song is about, and maybe even through the looking glass, which is that we run too fast just to be able to be where we are. But what we really should be aiming at is to change, to maybe disrupt that motion in a way. And part of it I find is actually from not moving fast at all, but actually moving slow. And I know that this is something that you have worked on in your own coaching.
Constantly. It's the reminder for us to slow down. Because when we slow down, when you drive through a school zone, what's the speed limit? Right? When you're on the Autobahn, what's the speed limit? But like, there shouldn't be a difference because lives are still like super important. Like you slow down because kids might pop out and cross the road. So you need to slow down so you have more awareness, so you can respond in a way and not just react, right? And I think that's a big difference. And that's where you can get into deep levels of like cognition. Like I see this information, I'm processing it, it's going into my brain, and then how do I respond? So that can happen very quickly, so that it's like, well, now I need to slow down, I need to be aware, I haven't been in this position before. What are the best steps that I can take to move forward, which is the adaptation. Like you're learning from the environment, you're learning from the situation, and slower is the best place to start.
It's sort of two things. It's being responsive to change and then slowing down that response.
Most definitely. And I think a lot of people, like, we don't like change, even though that's like the one constant, right? Is things are ever changing. But it depends on, once again, like how much we pay attention. Like things are changing all the time, right? But we try to clue in more towards the bigger things. Oh, winter to spring is much different, right? Like temperature changes and things like that. Like, oh, this environment, this culture is so much different than this culture, environment, or whatever it is. Like you really feel the difference. But then when you slow down, you can listen, you can pay attention, and you're like, ooh, if I was an alien and I just landed here, I need to pay attention. I survive, number one, and then I can connect.
And the paradox is that just by slowing down, it doesn't mean things are boring. In fact, it's just the opposite. There have been studies done by neuroscientists that have shown that the children actually experience life a lot more slowly, and they seem to have a lot more fun doing it. While as you grow older, time just seems to move faster because you're stuck in routines, because there's nothing unfamiliar.
Like, yeah, like the routine of everything. That there is no... We try not to change based on the routine, but even focusing on, okay, this is my routine, but what's different today? Like that, like, can you zoom in? And kids are great at that because it's like, oh, look at that bug. Like, what's that? Mom, what's that? Why is that? What is it? Like the curiosity is still there. And I think when the running in place is like, we lose that. Like our autopilot kicks on. We let our autopilot kick on, and then it's just like, well, maybe somebody crosses the street and the light is red, and we follow them just because it's like, oh, well, normally people will cross when it's green. But if you follow that person and you're not paying attention, it's on you, right? Like you're the one that's supposed to take care of yourself. And the more that you can pay attention and be in the moment, and time slows down, and like you have this ability to like, you take care of yourself, but then you can help other people as well. And kids can do that in ways that are just incredible. Like they'll notice that, like there's something not quite right here. What's that? And then if as an adult you listen and you pay attention, you'll be like, oh yeah, what is that?
Absolutely. It's that curiosity, and that makes really, it changes how you sort of see the passage of time. So with older people especially, and as you grow older, you're just doing the same things all the time. There's no variety. There's no more forming of new memories. Everything is way too familiar. And we do not seek out new experiences or information.
Incredibly so, right? And this is one thing, working personally with several people that are over 70. I've coached from a movement standpoint, from, holistic movement standpoint, whatever we want to say, but from this like mind, body, spirit as well. That the connection of, if you can get someone who's over 70, for example, who grew up, never thought they were an athlete, never did, athlete, like quote unquote, like someone that moves a lot, that has put a lot of time into sport and the physical and things like that. So as a child, they didn't move much and they didn't do many things. But then they're discovering that they're doing things that they couldn't even have dreamt about at that age, like hanging upside down. Right? Like going upside down, or having the strength, or falling and it not breaking you. So you're changing this, the whole song is about, well, like collectively those who age, like this is what's happening. Like you're degenerating, you're getting older, you better be careful, you better not move, you might hurt yourself. But if you have that childlike spirit still, that curiosity, and really taking the wisdom of you as an adult who's probably been on this planet for whatever 50 to 70 years, let's just say that you will support yourself with maybe a coach or someone who can take you deeper into yourself. And then the youth is there, the curiosity, the spirit comes out. Like that's, I think, what in the song that he really highlights, is that we lose the spirit of things, the joy of things. Like, I got spirit, yes I do, I got spirit, how about you? And that's this like, let's just play. Like, woohoo! And then who can woohoo the highest, or who can throw this the farthest? That it just becomes this, and then it's like a whole day passes and you're the vision of however many years ago, where it's like, yeah, like we played all day and all the night, and we only went home when they called us to eat, right? We weren't just focused on one thing or hyper focused. It was just like we were just expressing ourselves in amazing ways and creatively. I think children are amazing at that, and to have that in an older age is like, why wouldn't you want that? It's like more life.
In fact, talking about play, and maybe before we move into play, I know that this is a concept that you have used a lot in your coaching and movement practice, which is flow. People are familiar with this, and thanks to Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi, I think I pronounced it correctly. Yeah. He's really popularized this whole notion of flow. How do you see flow fitting into these discussions that we're having?
It's like the checklist of when you're in the flow state, you might be feeling this, and this. And then it's like, yeah, well, time is altered, things slow down, perception's totally different. Like the layers of, you use your mind in such a deep way that you're aware of so many more things. Like your vision changes, so you're able to take in more information. Like when we're super relaxed, like to enter the flow state, you need to be super relaxed. You can't be stressed out, or you're not going to get, like you're in your own way. You're running in place, basically. So then when you can first have the awareness that you're doing that, and then use a tool like the box breathing to bring you down. And brainwave states, it's an alpha state. That flow state and alpha brainwave state is very similar. And it's like you're as relaxed as you can be while still being able to move and navigate the environment without like pre-sleep. Like you're not that relaxed. And so I think the flow state is really like, everyone's been in it in different ways. And this is like this tie back to play and like this perception of time. And, we have from a movement standpoint, there's certain challenges to get into the flow state. The stuff that you're doing is like, it's new territory. It's like, oh my God, what is that? What am I doing? Oh, wow. And then I can go here. Like your transitions are super smooth, and your intuition, it guides you. So the autopilot is much different. Like it's like you're driving the ship, but then you're also behind, you're able to see the ship. So you're the ship's captain, but then you're an observer, right? Like the role of the observer. And then you're using this role of the observer to make this flow state like even more in depth. And so from a work standpoint, from like dancers, athletes have been in there. They call it the zone in sport as well. It's like things slow down. And then it was like my body was just going on this automatic and doing things that I never thought I could do, right? Like energetically, it's like you feel like you have this boundless energy. And that's part of like, well, I was in that for 4 hours. It felt like 10 minutes. Like that is like superpower. Like you're a superhero when you enter that. And so flow has been coming a lot more popular recently. Like it's really trendy right now. You look at some of the original writings of Mihaly, I will not use his last name. Like it's been around for a little bit, not a long period of time. So
if you had to suggest one exercise that we could do now, which in a way would encapsulate flow or let's say lead people into a state of flow, which one would it be?
Well, because we have something like we have these different movements that Susan and I we've planned for this, which is great because it leads into this. And I think the box breathing is super powerful to start with. It will bring you to a level to where you're going to be more adaptive from a movement standpoint, more receptive to finding the different ways that you can go. So I think the one exercise that we can do now that I think is amazing for everyone and will get you into this play state, flow state is what's called it's like a rocking chair. Like you're rocking on your spine. And you see this in many different modalities. So Susan's going to go, I'll stay on the mic. Susan's going to go, and I think like we did before, Susan, once you get into position, just check in with your body now. This is an amazing core exercise. So it's basically like you're an armadillo, you're a turtle that's fallen on your back, and you're rocking on it. So you're the whole front of your body. Yeah, your pelvic floor, your abs, your core. What Susan's doing right now, like the shape that she's making is she's hugging her knees and she's bringing her chin to her chest. Like you're really rolling into a ball. Her toes are pulled to her shin. Like the big thing to be aware of is not whiplash or the Pez dispenser where your neck opens up when you go backwards. So you're keeping your shape. Yeah, and then just keep focusing on breath out. Because this position is part of that roundedness, that deep core, pelvic floor, abs, whatever we want to call it. And then you might come to an end where it's like, now I'm flat. Like literally flat for you to rest. And you rest and you breathe in whatever position. But this is important, like even in the position that Susan's in now. So she can do what I like to call it flow motion, and it's a connection of things. So she's just gone, let's say the rocking chair is like a second gear. So we have 3 gears and it's a second gear exercise. But now if she's resting, she's on her back, her knees are bent, her feet are flat, she's box breathing. And then we use this as like a gear 1 to prep her again to go. So it's an active recovery. So she can go in through the box breathing, breathe in through the nose, she holds. So she's reconnecting. So she was using that rocking chair, and then it got to the point where it's like, wow, this is tough. I need a break. And then so she can take what she's just done and not come back to the microphone, be out of breath and be a bit flustered, but like, okay, I did a couple rounds of box breathing. I feel like I can express into words and not just heavy breathing what I'm feeling now.
Okay. I'm just going to catch my breath.
Yeah, but like that, use your breath out, like even box breathe now, like, a couple breaths, like, and this is the point, and this is the slow, is that the transition is based on you and your feedback of yourself. Like, I'm not recovered enough. I just need to slow down. Breathing is always good.
It's interesting. It's also nice to take a physical break while you're doing a podcast interview.
100%.
So it's this has been great.
But it's like a cup of coffee, right? It perks you up.
Absolutely. It's a cup of coffee. It's a break. We'll be back after a short break. I loved the rocking chair. It also shows you when your body's feeling a little bit blocked and tight. This exercise just points it out immediately.
And I think this is really where I think the exploration there can be more of that, is like, well, what are the movements that really teach me about what my body's telling me right now? Like right now. Oh my God, I'm holding my breath while I'm doing it. Why am I? Because I'm a bit tense. So then you can start to link it up now. Now I'm breathing and I'm rocking. Oh, now I feel my abs and I'm rocking. Oh, I'm twisting a little bit to my left. I just made the adjustment. Now I've recentered myself, right? So there's all this depth that can be had, and this is the benefits of like mindful exercise that lead into flow. Is you're super curious about what you're doing just through this movement, and you course correct, you adjust. Like the adaptation is happening as you're aware and as you start to pilot the ship.
Ryan, since we've already spoken about curiosity and play a little bit, I'd like to spend a bit more time on this. One of my favorite TED Talks is with Isabel Benke, who's a primatologist. She did this amazing TED Talk with bonobos. And in the talk, she says that for our species, in evolutionary terms, play is our adaptive wildcard. And you can find the future where people are having the most fun. It sounds almost trite and frivolous to focus on play, but it probably has never been more essential or more necessary for all of us.
100%. My favorite part of the Mad Mad World song is the second part when he's talking about the kids. And I'm like, oh my God, this is where it starts. Right? Like trying to mold them into something that maybe for society. Like, and he's speaking for the child of like, I'm going into school. I'm super nervous. I don't know what I'm going to find. Is the teacher, what's the teacher like? Like all the questions at the beginning. Well, what's the teacher going to be like? Am I going to have any friends? What's lunch? What's this? What's my lesson for today? And then how we can get so caught up in that. Like, it's like, grow up. I was walking in a park one day, literally, and it's like, it's the stress and the rigidity sometimes from the adults and how we pass it on. We can pass it on to animals and kids specifically as well. And then, like their adaptation is like, well, this is what the world is like. Like, these are the beliefs that I'll adapt based upon, my parents or teachers or whatever. And there was this father, and this kid was like super young and just like in a different world. It's like, I don't know what the kid was doing, but the father was almost like, like, grow up. Like, we got to get going. Like, grow up. Like, what do you, quit messing around. I'm like, this kid had no idea. Like, his dad was talking, he was like, spin a desert grass, and what is that? Like that. Like, but still, like, the energy was coming towards this kid. And I think, like, at that moment, like, if we can support, especially the youth more with, like, play, be curious. We'll be curious with you. Adults playing with kids as well.
No, really, adults are so joyless. Absolutely.
And it's just what we get taught and how we think we need to fit in. But like, as an example, like what we're doing now, like this is super fun. This is collaboration, and it's finding the connections. And I think this is the big thing as well, is that when we play, it's like you need this play agreement. Like, all right, especially now, like there's masks, there's other things. Like it's like, well. What's the agreements that we have amongst the group that we're in to be able to, like, let's have some fun. Okay, we wear a mask. Okay, no problem. But like when everyone's aware of that, and especially in like when kids play games, it's like, Okay, that's out down there. We can't go out there, and no punching in the face. Go. And then like things adapt just based upon what happens. Like, holy cow, we don't go over there either. Dangerous. You know, like, and I think that's what kids are great at. And then it's just like, it's creation. It's new, it's unique.
And since we're on the subject of creation, let's talk about this new playground that you've created called the Earthboard. Can you tell us about it?
Yeah, so the Earthboard is an adaptation from a tool that's existed for a long time, from Persia, called the Shena board. And so Persian warriors would use it to like keep them moving and grooving, you know, in between bouts of war. It's a tool, but it's so much more than that as well. It's like super simple design. It's a board with 2 legs underneath it. And they're using this tool to keep their bodies moving and keep themselves ready, right? And I saw the Shena board and I'm like, I haven't seen people step on it before. And then I had my dad make one. And I'm like, oh my gosh. We were talking about before, like the analogies of a playground as well. It's like a playground it's like Mary Poppins' bag. Like she pulls everything out. Like in the board can be that, and like a Swiss Army knife that has a magnifying glass, a saw, a screwdriver. The beauty of it is like what do you want it to be? And how will it inspire you to move? Do you want it to help you recover? Do you grab it this way? Do you go for a run with it? What would that be like? Like you're swinging a club around while you're running around, which taps into the whole warrior essence of it in your hands. But then you start to step on it. It's like, well, it's like skateboarding. I'm like, it's surfing. And then it's like, but it's so small. And then, but the legs are stable. And so it immediately taps you into like, well, what's your connection with yourself, your environment, the board, earth. It's just a board. It's made of wood. And then also gravity. And this is where we've spoken about like dancing with gravity is one of it's just a beautiful phrase that goes with the board, the earth board, and especially standing on it. And the feedback that it gives you when you stand on it at that moment. And it's one of the tools that I love to flow with because like, oh my God. It's like when you dance with gravity, it's just like you're going with it. You're going with the flow. And it's a great tool for that. It's not the only tool that I ever use, but it's one that it's like, oh my gosh, this is super cool and I just want to share it. And my dad has created some. We started the process and we're expanding it as well. So like as a business idea. And there's other prototypes. And this is my creative flow that through using the earth board or developing the earth board, advancing the earth board from Shena board and sharing it with people and seeing how they use it. And it's like, oh, this is amazing. Like, get the board in the hands of 1 million people, at least. And then it's like, more people are moving in different ways with something that's pretty amazing.
Well, I've used it and I can definitely vouch for the amount of fun you can have on it.
Definitely. It can be super frustrating as well. But once again, like these are the cues. It's like, I need to chill my system out before I use the board so I can go deeper. Like you save time.
Ryan, you had mentioned that there may be one more exercise that we could do in relation to play.
Okay, yes. What we're going to do is we had 2 exercises. One of them's a bear crawl and one of them is, one of the names for it is like a dive bomber push-up. If you're familiar with yoga poses, the child's pose, where you're sitting on your heels and your arms are straight out in front of you. They call it like sleeping warrior as well as a different position, but your hands are out in front of you. So go ahead and sit all the way back, Susan, all the way back to your heels. Toes can be in the ground and arms are a bit straighter, like you're really reaching forward. And now in this position, it's like you're going underneath a fence, like barbed wire fence. Like you're staying close to the ground, you're squeezing, and then finish with the hips farther forward. So it's in yoga, like upward facing dog, cobra as well. And then just pause in that position. And then, yeah, like that. This upward facing dog, cobra position is amazing. And you can move your shoulders, you can squeeze your booty, your tummy, like check in with your body. And then you just sit back. You can also reverse the motion. And we'll add links to some of these exercises so people can check them out. So you have this, and because she's in this She's in a modified, like they call it quadruped position, like hands and knees and her toes as well. So she's done about 312, I think, which is great. And now all she needs to do is just lift her knees off the ground, and she starts to crawl. And that's the bear crawl. Yeah. Yeah, even a little bit lower with your knees, like you stay close to the ground. She's on a carpet that's sliding around a little bit, but it's almost like she's walking in place. So you can focus on opposite arm, opposite leg. As you crawl, you can go straighter legs, you can go knees super close to the ground. Like there's different variations, but it's like baby crawling on hands and toes. And then she goes back down to her knees. And then child's pose itself is just a rest. She can box breathe there. So this can be gear 1. Right, like level 1, like active recovery. We're doing the box breathing again. And then when she's ready, she can, let me just shift into a gear and go dive bomb or push up, right? And so she can do a couple of those. So now this is flow because the movement doesn't stop. Like she's going through the sequence however she wants. You're driving the car, you're shifting from first to second. It's like, oh, I need to go back down to first. Let me try third gear, which is the bear crawl. So she can change whenever she wants. Yeah. And once again, it's like you're gaining experience points by doing this. Repetitions and time, like it's not, it depends on how much structure that you want.
That was good.
But you feel it, like it's...
The bear crawl is very challenging.
Very challenging. You're carrying your body weight, right? Like, and that's... When you watch babies, it's like they're super motivated because they're super curious. It's like, what is that? Oh my gosh. And they learn how to walk because it's like, I want to see what's up on that. What's in there? You know, we baby-proof things because they love to explore, right? I'm going to go down the stairs. Oh my gosh, I just rolled down. And right, like all these kind of things. We quote-unquote fail. But that's the adaptation, is like you're trying, let me try this. And, oh, that didn't work. I fell down. Oh. You know, like however many times a baby has to fall before it learns to like balance and then walk. And the crawling is part of it as well. Like it challenges adults. So you think a kid, like the child isn't necessarily focusing on like, well, my thighs burn. It's more like, I just want to get over there, man. I want to see what that is. To be a child again, I wish. But this is it. Like, but how we tap into it is exactly what you did, right? Like the effort is there, but it's like you feel better for trying. You do. And the funny thing is that you're on your knees and you're doing the bear crawl and you do feel a bit like a child. But the beauty of being a child as well is like your imagination is, I'm a bear. You can transform it into whatever you want. And then it's like, no, I'm a bear. I changed what I said. I'm a bear. There you go. But also this bear that like the adaptation is, okay, you're a bear now. You're in a child's pose now. You're sleeping. You're rocking. Not sleeping, but you're slowed down. You're rocking, and now you're diving underneath something. The dive bomber, right? Like it's kids are like that as well. It's like, what's that? Let me try that. Let me try that. And then you're over there. And then maybe I'll go back to this. We tried to do that more seamlessly. This is amazing, Ryan. And now we're going to move on to a section which I love. And these are exercises that I've done in my coaching with you, which is really what I would call kind of opening the doors of perception and the sensory world. And I'd like to talk to you a little bit about it because you've done some really interesting exercises with me and with other clients. One of the big things that I like, it's part of the running in place. Like what do we default to? Vision is one as well. Like we take it for granted. Our eyes don't tell us everything, right? Like how many, compared to an animal's eyes, like a dog sees a certain way and we'll see different things, and we will see certain things based on just how many things, but you know, we have this certain perception, right? So when you can take that, say like eyes out of the equation, you close your eyes and it's like, oh, now try it. And then it's like, whoa, what's my body's telling me all kinds of different things. So this level of sensory deprivation to enhance other senses. So when you take your vision out, it's like you'll feel your body in a whole different way. And then also this vestibular system, like your inner ear balancing system, so we don't fall on our face, right? Like if you have vestibular issues, like the world is just spinning. Like you're not moving very much.
Is there something that we could try out? I mean, now that we're here?
Yeah, most definitely. Like one thing I would recommend for everyone just to explore is use your other hand more often, right? Like things that you can, and they say this sometimes as well, is like, okay, we'll brush your teeth with the other hand. Immediately your day is going to be different. Like you're going to be like, oh my God, this is hard. Oh, what's over there? Like I studied anthropology growing up, and one of the things that they could see handedness. They could see if you're right-handed or left-handed based on wear patterns and things in your body, right? And so it's like, well, if you start to balance that out, right? Like don't just take it for granted. Like if you lose an arm and you're forced to use your opposite, like it's going to change. So using your body in different ways, balancing on one leg, eyes closed is another one. And now like specific vestibular, inner ear, inner balance, drills that you can do, and we'll have Susan do this now, is you have, it's like car sickness. It's like being on the boat and being sick as well. Sometimes we don't move our head much, right, range-wise, so we don't get to experience this. So let's try this. If you put your heels together and you make like a 45, like a V footing. You make the letter V with your feet. And it'll give you a little stability if you push your heels together. So now Susan's going to do movements with her eyes open first. So this is the first check, okay? So eyes open, and you tilt it's like you have water in your ear, and you tilt your head to the left and then back to the middle. You don't want to hurt your neck. You don't want to do it too fast to where it hurts it, but you want to be able to slosh the liquid around. So you go ear to shoulder and then right back to the middle. So if you watch me, Susan, and do the timing that I'm doing, so it's boom, boom, tick-tock, tick-tock. But you'll feel it's like, ooh, it's a bit tight there. You're using your shoulders. So eyes open while you're doing this to start with. And now if you're doing this and you feel a little bit wobbly with eyes open, it's like you need to get your vestibular system checked out. So you have head tilts left and right. You also have look over your shoulder. And what was that? Yeah, and then back to the center. Yeah, look left. What's that? Yeah, and you can do it to both sides. You can stay to one side. And then like in between, so Susan was doing that each side. She was looking left and right. And then you look up and then back to the middle. So not up and down, but up and back to the middle. Up, back to the middle. And very rarely do we look up. We normally look down. And then you can look down and then right back up. So you want a certain level of speed just to once again, to facilitate movement within the inner ear, which is a spiral pattern. Strange. But this is like through movement. So you check that. So now go eyes closed and go through the same. So you go eyes open first, and you go through the movements, and you go eyes closed. And then like if everything feels pretty good, you can go eyes open now. Yeah, and balance on one leg. And now we get funky. So now head tilt left or right. Whoa! Immediately, because the movement itself is. So you balance on the one leg, it's a whole different ball game, eyes open. That's where we really start to see some stuff. And then as much information you need to know is like, if it's not very good, like if it's messing with you, if your balance is off, like, yeah, you just do more of it. The scientific method is you try to recreate it as close as you can, but it doesn't really matter. Like with this, like do the movement and then try to balance, and you'll find different ways of doing it. And then finally, which is fun, like Susan stopped after that, which is cool because you were challenged, which is good. Like you find your starting point with it. And then like a final, not necessarily final, but a next level would be eyes closed, single leg, right? Each leg is going to be different as well. Your body immediately will tell you. You add the challenge of the vestibular tilts, the head sloshing, like moving your head around. And from a movement standpoint, like our body will follow our eyes and our head. And so like to be able to be balanced in doing that is like, you're able to navigate the earth in a different way, right? Like if you're going up a hill and you have to tilt your head this way and you're going this way, if you get thrown off balance, like you're not going to be able to do it. This is like safe ways of being able to expose it so you can improve it, and then it's like, hey, I'm ready for some action. Let's go. And it helps a lot with just overall, like, the feelings of nausea, like the connection to the stomach, and that's just stuff that kind of interrupts the whole movement process itself. It's like, whoa, slow down. Like, you need to stop. We need to get this a little bit better before we do this, and it's finding the right range of that as well.
Ryan, that was just incredible, I have to say. I have done these exercises in the past with you, but it's been a while. And the difference with eyes closed and eyes open, it's a different world.
For sure. And a lot of it is like, a lot of us are twisted, crooked because of life. Like, once again, like repetitive patterns, running and play. Like right-handedness, I sleep on my right side more. I use this more, like, work-wise. And so, like, our eyes will adjust, it will right our world, even though we're a bit crooked. And so it's hard to rely on our eyes. But when we take it out, it's like, whoa, my body can really improve and grow from just me closing my eyes and living in that world for a little bit. And then I'm more in my body, like, it's more internal. And then from that, it's just like, there's flow within that. When you can close your eyes, you're not distracted by other stuff, and you can really focus on the internal world and what your body's telling you, like the gravity, or your proprioception, they call it, like your body's awareness of its environment as well. Like, can you feel depth with your eyes closed? That's wild as well. Like, can you feel how far away the wall is? And then it's like, well, I can actually use that if I'm off balance. Like, being aware, hypersenses of your proprioception, even your vestibular when your eyes are closed, heat, vibration, that kind of stuff. And then you're like taking that information, be like, oh wait, there's a wall there. Yeah, like I can use it. So let me try something a little bit more. Like, I can explore more depth when I can sense my environment much more in depth.
Ryan, we're coming to the end of the conversation, and I would love to just keep talking.
We've been flowing.
Exactly. If there's something that you could sort of say to the guests who are listening in, something that you would see as a kind of a parting message, what would that be? Well,
and this is like, I've been thinking about this in different ways. Kind of discovered this cool quote, this cool quote from Rumi that really speaks well, I think, to everything. And it, respond to every call that excites your spirit. Isn't it amazing? Like, that's it. That it's like the call to, if you've seen Frozen 2, like the voice, like it's part of you being yourself is this awareness of yourself on all these deeper levels, and really spending more time doing the things that excite you. And that's part of the play, that's part of the flow. And then you start to create, you start to connect with other people, and like you start to vibe with other people, like yodelers, right? Like there's this connection in whatever way. Maybe it's sign language, maybe it's a look, maybe it's a smile, responding to this call to connect and excite the spirit by just being like, the microphone even says spirit as well, which is funny, to have that joy of just like, we're all here experiencing this together, and like, let's help just have a great time. help support each other having a great time, living the human experience. Thank you so much, Ryan, for being with us. And I'm looking forward to going out and playing a lot more now. Woohoo! Let's go. There's a playground nearby, I think. Thanks to Ryan Christie for sharing his thoughts with us. The Subverse is the podcast of Dark and Light, a digital space that chronicles the times we live in and reimagines futures with a focus on science, nature, social justice, and culture. We have more information about all our guests and their work in the episode show notes on darkandlight.com. You can also follow us on Instagram at Dark and Light Zine. If you like the show, please tell a friend and subscribe on your favorite podcast platform. The Subverse is produced for us by Waka Media. So long
and thanks for listening.